Welcome everybody to another episode of Meet Your Masters of D&D. I'm here with Jason, who has been a DM and GM for about 30 years, right?
That's right.
Okay, so we are going to go ahead and just jump right on into the question part, just so we can get through all the nitty-gritty stuff first, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the fun part where just let you talk about different cool stuff you might know about D&D and all the fun things that you like about being a Dungeon Master. So first question is, what system do you prefer to play in on Dungeons & Dragons?
Well, I played right back to the old boxes, the old red and blue boxes, 2nd edition, 1st edition. But 3.5 is where I stopped. I tried 4, and 4 was, to me, sort of video gamified. And I stopped there. Now, I just picked up 5th edition, so I'm giving it a read as we speak. But 3.5 is where my heart falls.
Yeah, a lot of people 3.5. Like I started in 3.5, and I'm running a game in 5th, which we're kind of gonna take a break because it's timing schedules right now are just out of whack. But 5th edition is like 3.5 plus 4th edition, so it gives a lot more to the RP style, which a lot of people liked about 3.5, and then you have more intent on it for the other stuff. So I honestly think you'll like the the 5th edition, especially with all the added stuff they did. They basically took 4th edition simple version, which was basically they wanted to make a hack and slash tabletop game. That's all it was, and a lot of people realized that, and they're like, well, this kind of sucks. Then they redid it, put a 5th edition on it, and they did 4th edition, then 4th edition advanced or something. It was some weird thing they did just like for a little bit. Epilogue. Starts an E. I think it was Episense or something like that. I will have to figure that out because I do not want to be misquoted and be told I was wrong. But the 5th edition basically fixed a lot of those things. So Pathfinder, a lot of people play that, which is 3.5 inspired, D20 roll inspired. I really liked the whole thing of 3.5 except for the THAC0 because you would have to be a math major to actually get a really good idea of what's going on half the time. But all right, let's go. So are you DMing a game right now in 3.5?
We're bringing a campaign that's been running about 15 years. We're bringing it to an end probably in about 2-3 weeks. And I just started a new one with a family who asked me to come and teach it to a bunch of wee folk, which is kind of cool. I'm all about teaching, getting new players in. And so it's a family night for them. And I'm getting ready to start a gigantic 3.5 new campaign with all kinds of my crazy best. After so many years of playing, I thought I'm going to build a world myself and do it right from top to bottom. So.
See, that's freaking awesome. That's what makes this game so much fun. It's like you have families wanting to start playing because it really is. It's more stepping out of your comfort zone and being part of like something that you're not, which therapeutic. It's therapeutic in some sense, which I really like.
The creativity coming out of the little people is fantastic.
Oh yeah, I've literally come up to the point where I've watched a couple kids play with a group that a comic book store I live by, and I was instructed them just watching, and this kid just came up with this great idea, do something. I'm like, I would have never thought of that. It's like that would have probably killed me, and I wouldn't have done it, but he did it, and he rolled, and he's like, he got it, and it was like, oh my God, what the heck? I'm gonna try that next time. But yeah, the imagination of this game with kids is just incredible, and I think it's gonna make this. Hopefully, it makes inspire more people to play, especially with like kids who have like not the ability to like talk to people or have like social anxiety. This actually would help them get out of that funk. Which I think I had a couple friends who played it for a while, and then through college they were just like really intelligent, and they were out there and they got really good jobs, and I'm really jealous. But it's helped them. So what do you like better for your games? Letting your players pick their roll their stats or do the point buy system? I mean, you're 3.5 now thinking you're going to be using the roll system more than likely, which is what 4d4 or 4d6?
Well, there are so many different roll systems you can use. If you can adjust it too. If you're going to run a high power campaign, you can just let your players roll sets of stats. You can say, hey, roll 5 sets and take the best set. Or you can cap it and say, roll a set, and if it's not over 71, then roll it again. So, but yeah, I usually roll for my stats. I like the variability. Math does work. You do get nice average numbers. And occasionally you get something exceptional and something terrible. And hey, that's even better for character development. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I think that's one of the cool things about doing those little systems here and there. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. What got you into being a dungeon master? Did you start out as the dungeon master, or were you a player, and then you're like, well, I'm going to try this?
I was a player first. I played my first game. I was probably 10 years old with a cousin, and there's a collective of our cousins all got together and played. And one guy was the older cousin had some of the books, and we played, and that was great. I really enjoyed that play. I went home from that and made my own game. So just a plain old storytelling game. And there was no rolling, there was no anything. I just thought, what kind of crazy situation can I make up and get my friends to try and figure out? And it sort of took off from there. As at 10, you don't have a whole lot of cash for buying books and stuff. But once you save up a little bit, I got my own books, started playing the actual system along with my own story games, and I went from there. I'm a firm believer you should play before you game master, though. You've got to get a feel for what it's like to be in the world before you are the world.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So let me show you. Something up there. Oh, okay, there we go. So how long have you been oh no, we already talked about that. You've been doing it for like what, 30 years? See, all these questions, like half of these questions just going straight down, going, all right, oh nope, that's the same question. So you've been playing for 30 years. Is it straight 30 years or like off and on? And
no, it's been pretty straight. Once I started, got a taste for playing, I really enjoyed it. It was something that spoke to me. I was a kid who wanted more of a board game, and I still love board games, but there's still no other game that demands as much of you as a role-playing game.
Oh, definitely. Let's see. Next question. We'll leave that one for the next one because that one's actually really big. That's more toward like the end of. We'll probably end up talking for like hours about that, which we don't have hours. But how do you handle metagaming at your tables? Like when there's a lot of metagaming happening?
I guess most of the players I've been their first game master, and I encourage them not to right from the beginning. I've gone as far to stomp it out as experience penalties for their actual characters. So if they want to talk around stuff as opposed to be in the stuff, then they're not going to get experience for what they do. And I really don't have a problem with that. My game is really good about it. And the odd person, you will think, oh, wait a minute, I know this. And you can see that pause for a moment, if I can't talk about it. And then they'll go back to playing. And it's like, yes, that is good.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so that's a good point. When you come to like doing the experience, basically taking the experience away from someone who's doing a lot of like metagaming and which a lot of people metagaming, if some people don't understand it, it's when you're trying to talk outside of what your character should know, and you're also going to another spot that you're trying to do. Oh, well, I know that this from reading the book that creature has this, but my character has no clue how much damage that I could deal to this before it dies. Which is, it's sometimes it does get hard to tell, like, are you actually like metagaming too much, or is it like, oh, my bad, I understand, I didn't realize it, which for the most part, a lot of people don't realize. If you have a problem and the best thing to do is talk to your dungeon master or your game master, and after the game, try to keep questions down to like the minimum in it, unless it's like something like, well, what happens if I do, if this is this something, or But when it comes to like, well, I don't understand what's going on or something like that, Dungeon Masters, most of them, I would say about a good portion of them are very good people. But then you have the over God, I'm like, I will take everything, which I'm not. I've never been one of those people. I like to let. I'm telling a story, and it's their story. I'm just helping them progress into it.
That's right. You don't get a whole lot of repeat customers when you're the angry god of destruction throwing blue bolts from the heavens.
Yeah, no. Unless they're into that, then it's just weird for like an hour and a half of just completely destroying them. And it's like my game right now, the game I have with my guys, I've literally only I rolled stats completely horrible for them. We rolled 5d6, which I'm going to get shit for this with people, and they kept the top 4. Well, they could go. I told them they couldn't go above a 20. So I had one guy roll 3 20s, a 13, and a 17. I screwed myself because I told them you can't. Oh, no, I said you couldn't go above 18 because their race modules would allow them to go to the 20. I just didn't want to go above 20 just for right now. So I have like these guys are like all in the 13, 14 and higher. So it's like I'm throwing like CR5s at them, and they're taking them to like nothing. But then again, I've also killed one of them twice, and they brought them back. So it's kind of fun, but it's also really fun to scare them with like a random chest in the woods, because could be a mimic, and those are just fun to mess with people.
Well, as long as there's balance, right? If you can achieve balance, the ability scores are. If they're average scores, then you have average challenges. If you're going to give them more epic scores, that's fine too. But make sure the challenges are more epic.
Yeah. So do you as an experienced DM of doing this for so long, the real question a lot of people probably like ask a lot of experienced DM, like how do you judge if someone's going to get more experience for like the role play aspect of the game?
Well, the first marker is, I use kind of 3. 1, do they follow their alignment? If you're playing the way your alignment should be dictating to. I've actually moved to keeping alignment on a graph. So if a character does something, I'll say, hey, move your alignment 1 step good, move your alignment 1 step neutral, 1 step evil, 1 step chaotic. And as long as they stay in their box for their alignment, hey, that's good. But if you stay in your box, even when it's not something that you want to do, you get a bonus for that, because that's role-playing your character. Or if the character pulls something out of their backstory, sometimes a character is less helpful, doesn't want to be part of it, and if that's part of their story, then I will give them a bonus for that, because they're doing something that makes it harder, because they're actually playing the character they designed.
Yeah, that's actually awesome. I've always wondered that. I think a lot of people do is like, how do you? Well, it's with 5th edition. The only downside is alignment is pretty much just like a thing. It's not really like as the core was when you had alignment in 3.5, where it was like your paladin is going to be like, no, you can't steal that. I'm not going to allow you to. Now it's based upon, well, is it for the greater good of me or them? Like if I can use like a paladin of vengeance, which is really fun to play, and I have one in my campaign right now. He will allow someone to steal and decapitate someone if it's to better off the better of the good. So he would actually kill a bunch of people if it weighed out the bad against the good. So if he took more bad than good, he would do it. As long as his deity was okay with it, and usually ramifications here or there. Like he's not going to go slaughter in a large village or a hobo camp, but he will. He will if someone robs or kills some villagers, he'll go out and kill each one. He won't bring them to justice. He'll kill them all, because that's the way that it's vengeance on them. They will die for what they did. So, which is kind of cool. But the alignment for 5th edition is a lot different. But again, you can a lot of the stuff a lot of people have been porting over for 3.5, like alignment. If you take a hammer and bash in a skull of a creature who's not armed, in your lawful good, your deity will basically be pissed off, especially if you're a cleric. You'll actually cause you to lose something. Like you won't be able to use your divine smite or anything because of that. There's a lot of
spells, experience penalties.
Oh yeah, it makes it real fun, but it makes it fun to watch them. Like, I'm gonna smash his head in. Are you sure you want to do that? Yep. Okay. So we did say you do run you run mostly 3.5. Like, do you do Pathfinder or?
I really like the Paizo stuff when they put Pathfinder out, but I looked at it and said, this is so close to 3.5. Why would I go ahead? So I just stayed with 3.5.
Yeah, that's probably always the best.
I guess I'm a fossil, but
I know the 3.5 is a classic, man. It's not like you're playing Advance. I mean, we could go back to the D&D Advance, which was completely just unique in itself. It was like, hey, let's make Dungeons and Dragons, and then they're like, all right, let's make it a little bit better, but not good enough, and let's call it Advance. And then they came out 3, or was Dungeon Dragon 2, then Dungeon 3, then 3.5 when they fixed all the things in 3 that were wrong, and then that stayed around for like what a couple like almost 10 years.
Yeah, it was around for a while.
Yeah, and then they're like, well, we're going to try to get into the video game market with kids and ride 4th edition, which 4th edition was based off of the video game. They're online because I played it, and I was like, this is kind of weird. But it was based off, that's why they did the 4th edition. I think it was because of that online. They wanted to make everything perfect for that, and the THACO for 3.5 was just incredibly hard to code for, from what I read.
Well, I think THACO is from 2nd, isn't it?
No, 3.5. THACO or THACO. It's one of them. I know 3.5 had it because it's like you had my AC is 4, but it's like 15 up on the dice.
That's 2.0.
That's 2.0?
2.0.
Then how do you do the 3.5?
3.0 is just a plain addition. So you add all the values together and you've got to beat it with your attack roll.
So what's 3.5 had THACO, I thought?
No, I don't think so.
I could be wrong, but I'm gonna have to look it up because honestly, that's what we played. We played 3.5, and you had the mini bar in the middle, and you had like you rolled the dice and you add your attack, and then you moved around then the numbers were lower.
Yeah, armor class used to go down in advanced and 2nd edition, and that's one of the cool things I thought in 3.0 was when they said, okay, let's just make it a simple addition. So it made that a lot easier.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. So, how do you handle secrets with your players? Like when you do something in the story, like if there's 2 people who know about it but the other one doesn't, how do you command the floor? Do you pass a note? Do you take them in another room? Like those kind of things, or?
I've used all of those. Sometimes it's just let's step out in the hall for a moment and have a conversation. If they want more subtlety, I encourage them to bring a laptop. We network the laptops when everybody gets there. And I can send messages out to people, whether just even through a little Facebook group if you want to keep it, and send the messages individually. And just make sure you turn your sound off.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But there's all kinds of little chat programs you can get that'll throw people in an area and you can send them individual messages. And I even accept notes hurled across the room and hurled up pieces.
Oh, always fun. Just
they land behind the GM screen and it's like, okay.
Oh, yeah, definitely. What are some of the well, this is actually a question from some people in the forum too. So, what are some creative ways? What are some of the creative ways you promote cooperative storytelling and player narratives?
Okay, well, for me, that all comes from the development of a background for a character. And it's one of the things that I really stress for my players, that if you don't have any kind of background story, if you haven't thought about who your character is, where did they come from, do they have family, not family, do they have short-term goals, medium goals, long-term goals, you have to kind of think about that character as a real person. And if you have hooks like that, if you have something, you can go back in that character's past and say, okay, here's something I can play with. I can tease this out and say, your uncle was a pirate. All right. Well, guess what? Your uncle's in trouble. And then you can bring that into your story. And if you can cross those hooks for different characters and weave them into a singular piece, that's when you get lots of people who want to cooperate because they see a chance for their character to be in the spotlight. And then they start to realize, hey, wait a minute, this isn't just me. How did you know my uncle the pirate? And, oh, okay. So if you can weave all that stuff together, that's an art. It doesn't always work, and it's hard to do. But to me, that's sort of the pinnacle of it. If you can weave those backstories into a tapestry that the players can get involved in, they have a reason to buy into it, then that's a big success.
Yeah, so yeah, that's actually a really good point to getting the characters involved in it. And I try to do that, but at the same time, again, first time running 5th edition, I let the guys to choose what they want to do and all that. I have 2 people that have this background that actually kind of like matches up to each other. The other ones are just like out there. So it's like I had like I was freestyling everything. I had random tables for everything. I was throwing random dice out, and I probably did about 5 minutes of prep work before each game. That's because every time I would try to be like, all right, well, so here's the story. I got all this stuff happening, and then this, and then they go and just go. I want them to go this way, and then they just go ahead and just turn around and just go the opposite direction. I mean, I had one player wanting to leave the party because he wanted to kill a character, and I'm like, well, if you leave the party, you'll probably end up dying because you in a place you don't know, yet you're going to leave these guys who you just met. Yeah, you all ended up in a cult room, and you're all fighting whatever comes out to you. But again, they're helping you battle. And now I just got to the point where he's actually part of the team, and he's really feeling that they're brothers in arms now. And it's kind of cool to watch the development of it. We've recorded most of our game. So I have audios of the whole games from the very beginning to what we played now. And I've uploaded most of it to YouTube, which I've kind of taken a break from uploading those because I've had no time. And I'm off for like a week of work, so I'm going to be uploading a shit ton of stuff.
I was going to say, before you go on, the other thing I really like to do to pull the players together is a moral dilemma. If you can come up with a situation where they can't agree on how to proceed on a moral issue, it's just fabulous. And I'll cite an example. They found a bunch of prisoners who'd been held for a long time who were one step from starving to death. And one person in the party said, we need to stop and take care of these people and feed them. Another person said, there's no point in feeding them, that we're being closed in on. We haven't rested forever. We're not getting a break. If we stop and feed these people, we're going to get killed. And somebody said that doesn't matter. They need to be taken care of. And finally, one of the characters just turned around and incinerated them. And that started an argument and almost a fight because he had done what he thought was morally the right thing to do. How can you leave these people to be eaten?
That's awesome. That's completely just
the whole adventure stopped while they solved that moral dilemma. And everybody at that table had something to say because
so he is like he literally just turned around, just went, fireball.
Yep.
And just destroyed everybody.
Yep. Bunch of poor old starving vagabond slaves that were just a step away from being eaten. So
holy crap. That's awesome and slightly disturbing at the same time. Like it makes you think like what I would hate to be that behind that on that person's team if I end up breaking a leg and having to walk slowly because I'm pretty sure he would put a bullet in my head and just walk up. Dude, he is Virgil.
Well, that's it. And it's left the characters now looking at each other. I trust that guy for that very reason. And the villain offered another member of that same party in that same adventure session an opportunity to switch sides. And it was a really legitimate offer. And the character just looked at me, or the player looked at me and said, I really, really hate you when you do things like that because I could leave. That it would make perfect sense for my character to say yes. I said, well, do what you want. This is you have free will as your character.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But 90% of the time, a villain, if you're playing against a villain, you want to destroy him. You're better, for the better good, the more for the many than the few. So you can't feed few, but you can feed a million. You're going to feed the million. You're going to say, well, sorry, you few. Burn, I guess. That's actually kind of that's kind of disturbing, but it's kind of cool at the same time because it really makes you think about what's going on. And some players don't understand what's going on half the time. And this is I want my players to do that. That'd be freaking hilarious for me, at least. Because anytime the players can make themselves doubt each other, You don't have to throw monsters at that. You can just watch them just completely wrecking each other, which is kind of fun.
Agreed.
So this is another one from the forum. How do you handle difficult or non-cooperative players? Like someone who doesn't want to, or someone who's basically like, well, I'm doing this because I want to do this. And basically disrupting the table itself. Like if you have you ever had a player who came in like, I wanted to play and yeah, this is fun, awesome. And they're like, well, I want to go to a brothel. I want to do this. And mainly the player who just doesn't wants to be there, but again is like, this is stupid, but I'm gonna play anyways, kind of thing. Like, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Like this, I'm thinking of like a player who saw like if he was brought there because of his girlfriend who plays, and she's like, well, come on, play, and he's like, well, this is stupid. Like, but he plays anyways, but he breaks the atmosphere of the table.
If that's the case, and I haven't had that for a long time, but in that one case where I did have it, it was a discussion after the game. It was like, dude, what do you want out of this? How can I make this something that would interest you too? And that's got to be the part that you do for every single player. If a player walks away from that table going, well, I didn't have a whole lot of fun, then you have to have that conversation. Say, hey, what is it that you really are looking for from this gaming experience? I got one player, he's not a big role player. He just enjoys the fact that he's out there doing something, and he never causes problems, but he's never a leader. And that's okay because he doesn't want to be. But a simple discussion with a difficult person, that usually solves it for me. But if it doesn't, I'd be asking them to, hey, you don't have to come.
Oh, definitely. But I think a lot of people don't understand. Like, you got some people who, like, some of these forums I'm on with all this D&D stuff, and you kind of looked at it, like, the first time I watched a question go up, said, hey, I'm having an issue with the player. He's doing this, this, and this, but he can't do that. He's not allowed to. How do I explain that to him? So I haven't talked to him yet, but I want to make sure I'm saying this correctly. And about 90% of the answers were, set him on fire, kill him. Don't let him live. Like, these really harsh punishments for someone who's maybe he doesn't understand what he's not supposed to do and what he is supposed to do. But the DM's like an actual like new DM is asking for help, and you get a lot of troll answers, which really makes me upset at the same time. But at the same time, it's like, well, maybe in their games, if a player is being a complete douchebag, they'll just go ahead and just throw him into a pit of owlbears. I mean, shit, it happens.
Well, if you're living in a civilized place and you've got a violent player doing that, invoke the real-life consequences of being violent in a regular town full of people. This is somebody who's going to get arrested. This is going to be somebody who's going to be hauled off, and then the character's gone from the game, and he can sit and read a book. If the party's not going to get him out of jail or going to work to get him back, if that doesn't get him involved, then, like I said, he doesn't really, or she really doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, which is honestly good. That's a really good. That's a good answer. I half the time reading these forums, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like there was one actually that was on yesterday. It was about a DM it's the first time he's done it, and one of the players got really like mad at him. They spent 2 hours trying to solve a riddle. Did you read it?
I think I glanced by that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like try to read a riddle and they couldn't figure it out for 2 hours. Which doors. If this door is gently locked by a riddle, you have to solve the riddle. Now I asked the question. He hasn't got back to me, or he didn't see it, I guess, because everyone's trolling on top of it. But I asked, well, what was their roles for their hints? Because if you're just giving them hints because it's like, well, this is it. But they're not doing any kind of investigation check. They're not doing any kind of like, do I know this from my history, or do I know this? Which a lot of people, that's what you need to do. You need to be able to go, okay, well, I'm going to do a history check to see if I know anything that would complement to this riddle. Mm-hmm. And because you don't have to, you don't have to know the riddle yourself. Your player needs the character needs to know the riddle. Which your character, you don't know if he knows it because technically you're in a different world than you are. And you might have an intelligence of 6, so you might not know anything, but you might have heard a nursery rhyme one time in your life about a sphinx which has 4 legs. and does stupid things. I mean, I don't know. I mean, what's a here we go. What's a good riddle that you've used that would kind of like put someone at like a question? Because I want to put something in this comment and see if people can actually figure this out. So do you know any good riddles for D&D?
Off the top of my head,
without saying the answer, of course, because we want the comments in here to try to figure out what the hell the riddle is.
Oh, how would I come back to that? Let me percolate on it for a second.
Yeah, no. Go ahead and percolate all the way. I mean,
to solve that situation, though, I would let the characters work on it for a while. And if they could solve it, then they'd get an experience bonus. And if they had to go to a game mechanic, if you're going to let the right person in the party figure it out, and you have to use the game mechanic solely to solve it, then I'd let them solve it, but no experience. But I don't know, for a riddle, something like always flowing, never pausing.
So always flowing, never pausing. Oh, that's a good one. That's so if you know the answer, put it in the comments. And honestly, the first person who gets it right, I actually have a bunch of loot crate stuff that I don't even touch. Half the time I open them up, I'm like, oh cool, this is awesome stuff, but I never use it. But I will also be doing I'll put everyone who first 5 people who get it correct, I'll put them into a drawing for later on. I actually have some code. I'm hopefully going to get some codes for a new D&D map making system, which is DungeonFog or Fog Dungeon or something. But it's a Kickstarter, just started. They've made their 3rd goal. They're working on their 4th, but it's an easy mechanic for building your D&D.
I would have made it harder if I knew you were going to do that.
Well, it's the first 5 get into a raffle. I'm not going to just give them to them. Like the raffle won't happen until like the Kickstarter ends, because like until May or something, the Kickstarter's till. So allow them to get some time. And when I do, and I don't know how many people are going to be on this, so I don't know. So, and then it's actually a unique way of doing it. I mean, but so. Which I might do a roundtable, nothing but like riddles and mechanics like that for games. So we'll have you back, hopefully have you back on, and a couple others. I can do up to I think I can do actually up to like 50 people.
Wow.
Oh yeah, this thing's awesome. Like I'm using Zoom meetings, which I went ahead and paid for the Pro Edition because it adds a little bit more to it and allows me to do a little bit more things. But it's like the quality, like the quality right now, like between me and you, like, depending on the quality of your camera and stuff, you can actually present in HD. So I don't know how well it looks on your side of me.
Yeah, it looks pretty good here, actually.
Yeah. So it's like and this was it's up to, you can do up to like 3 people free, like conference. So I can have video, but it's up to 50 people. If you pay. No, okay, what it was is you can do up to 50 people on the free, but you only get like 40 hours of record time. So I actually went ahead and paid for the $14.99 a month, and I get unlimited minutes to basically have a conference call. So this can go on forever if we wanted to. Plus, I can actually stream these via my OBS, so I can actually put it on Twitch and stuff. Which I think the roundtables I might actually do either on YouTube or I might do it on Twitch, which I haven't decided yet. I'm thinking YouTube because that's what my main channel's on. But doing the roundtables just right on there, so we can have people join and say. Plus, I can put up to. I can actually have people come on, like when I fix everything up with the Patreon and stuff. People a certain dollar amount a month of supporting, they'll actually be able to. Be part of the chats, so they can actually send us chat questions like, hey, I have a question, and then we can answer those questions and all that fun stuff. But so a 2-part question. One, how do you pick your monsters against your enemies or your characters? Like, do you use just the book, or do you use any kind of like online source? And then the second one is, Are there any other? I should yank that shit. Is there any other hobbies that you have that it's like kind of influence your way of how you DM, like books or literature that you use to like put into your world to make your own homebrew version of D&D?
Okay, so part one. My background, I have a degree in biology and one in English literature. So it's, for me, I go to the ecology of the situation. And if I'm going to decide what's in a place, I try to sort the ecology of that place out. So what would actually really be there? If it's just animals, then you can sort of know what animals sort of by biome. And that's easy enough. I like to play a world where the whole world isn't leveled to the level of the characters. There are places they can go that would be a really bad plan because what lives there is big and mean and nasty, and they can go to other places what lives there isn't. So if you have a home and a place for something to live where it should exist, then that's what's there, and it's up to them to sort of figure out whether or not that's a safe place to go. So that's sort of my philosophy, and that works even in a dungeon. Every dungeon should have its own ecology. It should have a purpose. Why the heck did somebody dig out, all this 2 kilometers of tunnels underground? Why did they do it? And if you understand why they did it, then what could be there should match that sort of philosophy. So, there's no reason for a Gorgon to go to live in the bottom of a mining shaft, because what the heck is it doing down there?
Oh, of course.
So, and the second half, hobbies. Oh yeah. Outside of my regular work, I'm also a professional storyteller, and I used to do shows all over the place. And
really, hold on. So you, when you say professional storyteller, like what did you do exactly?
I've done shows for as big as 3,000 people and as small as dinner parties. I used to get hired to entertain, or as part of a few storytelling festivals. And I traveled all over the province of Ontario at one point, just booking shows and having fun. It's and after a while, you get to a really good sense of what story is, and you have to look at the parts of a story and understand how conflict can drive plot. And if you make a study of what story is, man, does it make this game a lot easier to sort out. It gives you a much better idea how to drive conflict, understanding it doesn't all have to be swords and shields. It can be moral conflict. It can be social conflict. There's all kinds of other ways to drive a story forward and keep people entertained. And that lets you cross genre, so you can get into horror games, you can do action games, massive warfare games, all that stuff that you can find supplements for, but you need to understand what drives those stories to really make it work.
That's awesome. I mean, that's so you're I forget, you're in Canada, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you
Ontario, Canada.
Which is kind of cool because I had different. I've oh crap, things just go falling everywhere. I have actually had a cancel interview, but me and her rescheduling. She's in Australia, so, and I have one that's going to come up this week. An interview who's from in India. So it's like I'm getting people from all over, and this is just awesome because it's not just talking about like D&D and stuff, but it's seeing the culture that the community that D&D is and what dungeon masters try to do, and just showing the fact that there's so many different people playing in different countries and different worlds, and it's all the same kind of like aspect of how big D&D has gotten over the 30 years 40 years it's been playing.
Oh, so yeah, it's got to be 40 years just about.
Because it started in the 60s, isn't it?
If it was the really late 60s. Because the original box games were still around when I started playing, and that was like 1980. So, but Advanced was out by then. So yeah, it's got to be mid-70s, early 70s.
Okay, so I just went ahead. Well, this is off of Wikipedia, so who the hell knows if this is correct? But usually 90% of the time it is. Actually, no, dnd.com, .wizard.com just has something about it. Their history, 40 years of venture. Actually, it came out I don't think the first Dungeon Dragon, it says 1964, the International Federation of Wargaming, funded by Gary Gyzak and others.
Gygax, yeah.
Which, if anybody has a chance, watch the, I can't remember, it was like some kind of like, I was just flipping through it on Facebook, and he talks about what it was like back then when they first started. Like, I think it was second edition that had the chick, or one of the modules had like it looked like a naked chick on like an altar, but it wasn't, and it was drawn by a 15-year-old girl. And they're like, we didn't even know that at that time, and then we found out, and we're like, you have places they're like, well, we don't want to sell this because of that. So they kind of like they took a hit, but they really didn't take a hit. So it's a lot of things that D&D was supposedly about was. Like satanic and all that fun stuff that they said it was, but it never was about that, and no one ever took time to look at it. And now you have cultures that who play it, and it's incredible to watch kids and adults and everyone just get into it and actually have some really cool fun. But yeah, it looks like 1970, or it started in 86 or 67, but the first one didn't show up till. So the draft was in 1973 is when they first did the first draft of the game. And then it was first published in 1974. So 1974 was the first actual D&D game. Our D&D book, hardcore book. So when they decided to make people start reading really big books, which were cool, but at the same time, so it was about 74. They're coming up on they came up on their 4 year in the 2014. They were out there 40 years. So this next, let's see. So, oh shit! Almost it'll be a 50 year stay in less than 6 years. Oh,
yep.
Yeah, I think.
I still have my blue dice from one of the original old box sets.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the poor old D20 is almost a sphere. It's
really?
So many times.
Oh man, what you need to do is once that hits the spear part, just go ahead and just take some do some hardcore resin, like the clear resin. Put halfway in, fill it halfway up, then kind of drop them in it, and then fill it all the way up, so that they stay into a block, and then just keep them on in front of everybody. Be like, this is incredibly awesome. You will never be able to roll this because it is inside the box, and second because it has no ability to stop. It's like a ball. Actually, it'd be kind of like a golf ball at that point.
Yeah. Well, in those days you got dice and they didn't have color in them. You got a crayon in the box. And you'd have to color it. You'd rub the crayon over the indent for the numbers and color them yourself.
Oh, really? So it was basically there's white dice they just gave you in the box. Yeah, they're here, take crayon.
They were blue plastic, and they gave you either a black or a white or a red crayon. Mine had red in it. But,
oh, that's cool. So it was plastic. It was was it heavy or really thin? Or?
Yeah, super light. Super light plastic.
So it just bounces everywhere, pop, 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 pop. Yep. Which, if you have the right wood and on your D&D table and you roll a dice, it'll bounce for about 14 hours. Which I've done that on accident, and we played on a table which was cardboard wood, compressed wood, which was really cool, and it looked like real wood. But when you rolled it, it go ping, 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 and it's just everywhere. Which was kind of funny at some points in time, but other time when you try to roll for attack and you can't seem to catch it because it falls off the table 5 times, then that's kind of an issue. But so what do you what kind of source material do you pull from? Do you just pull from the books, or do you pull from online at all?
I kind of pull from all over. I love to read. My English degrees in half in poetics and half in science fiction, fantasy, dystopian, utopian, speculative fiction. So I love to read. I love the genre of fantasy and sci-fi genres. There's all kinds of cool stuff out there. But even classic lit, you can go back to Shakespeare for inspiration and stories. There's all kinds of great stuff. Hamlet makes a wonderful D&D plot if you know your Shakespeare.
Oh yeah, definitely. Except for the whole incest thing, that just kind of makes it weird.
Yeah, makes for a creepy.
Oh yeah, but D&D, that's totally fine. I mean, that's it happens. It's that culture. It's that time zone. I mean, hell, it can happen. It can happen. It's weird, but it can happen.
If you find a particularly thematic album from a band, I created a character. We needed an NPC for the game that's winding up, and the music that was popular at the time was 2003, 2004. And Evanescence had the Fallen album, and I listened to that and went, okay. Three-quarters of the songs, if you listen to what they say, make a wonderful story of a cleric who is getting in touch with their deity. I thought, what a wonderful way to create a character. I'll use the song as inspiration, take all of the songs, create a background that follows this idea of, because the album itself is called Fallen, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's an elf who wasn't happy in her own surroundings, left because she'd taken a human god and gone down into this, I'm away from my family, I've lost everything. The god fills her back up with purpose and energy. And if you listen to the songs on that album, you can hear that story being told, which is kind of cool. So you can take inspiration from all kinds of different things.
Well, that's yeah, it is true. You can take from everything. I mean, I think I made a character based off of like a couple different animes, and then kind of like took two animes, just went perfect for what I wanted to make the character about. But like music wise, like you could take a lot of songs. I mean, not all songs, but there are some bands out there that actually have some really good backstories to them that you can read and listen to the music. And like Evanescence, they did a really good job on that album because it was like it did tell a story, just like Meatloaf. Meatloaf had a really, really, really great album, which I think Stairway to Heaven's on it. But Stairway to Heaven. Oh man, I can't even think of the song name now. It's gonna drive me crazy. And I just said Stairway to Heaven, and that's totally not it. That's a totally different band. It was like a fight between good and evil, and like it's like you hear like an angel versus devil, and it's mostly I think it was mostly 90% instrumental, but it was just so crazy to hear it. Mm-hmm. But it's like the story that you could weave off of just the music itself. The way it plays is. You can make it basically about a paladin who has a fight with basically his god and the god that he has to kill, or basically the evil entity that's fighting him. And it's just like they're pulling him back and forth and putting him into like a neutral state. Or even have a character who's in a neutral state being pulled left to right from good to evil and not knowing what to do and just trying to push them way through it. Like you could do a lot of cool things, and a lot of people kind of like pull different little things here and there from that, which is kind of cool. So I think that's is there anything you want to add to this?
Well, I thought about if I was going to give some advice to a new dungeon master.
Yes, that was actually it. That's the one question I almost forgot about. Is there any advice you can give to any new dungeon masters out there who are just starting, who just picked up the book? I mean, actually, is there any advice you give someone who wants to get into being a dungeon master after playing? That would be the better question.
Yeah, so always be a player first. That's my first suggestion. Always have that player experience, because you've got to think about what did you enjoy as a player, because it's supposed to be fun, and it's supposed to be a game, and it's not about grinding an axe. It's not about crushing souls. It's about having fun with some friends at the table. You got to keep that kind of underlying philosophy, at least in my opinion. Learning story crafting is important. So if you don't know a lot about the way literature is constructed, it's a good idea to study stories. Even if you're just reading a lot of stories, read fairy tales, read some of the longer epic stories, get a sense for how things can unfold. It'll help you write your adventures. And on a technical side, if you have to bend the rules as long as it's for the sake of the story. You know, there's some people who are so rigid they can't let anything go. If you can't let anything go, it's going to be a painful experience. Sometimes the role behind the screen needs to not be what it is.
Oh, definitely.
So let it go. Don't be afraid. It's because it's supposed to be fun. At the end of the day, when they get up and walk away, they should be talking about what happened. They should be excited about the next session. And if they're walking away holding their head up because they've just been burned to a crisp for the 22nd time,
Oh yeah.
They won't come back.
Oh yeah, definitely. But you don't want to. I would say like fudging, like when you have to like move the dice down, like basically going, all right, well I rolled a crit on this, but I don't want to give them the crit, so I'll make it a 19 just to be a little bit nicer, just because they're just starting out. I've always had the rule in my head at between level 1 and 3, they have. If they die, they can be. I'll have an NPC bring them back and save them before. If they think the whole party gets wiped before they hit level 1 or level 3, I'll end up having an NPC come in and saving them the last minute. Which you can do a lot of the times with a lot of NPCs is if you want the players to like get somewhere and they're like stuck and they're about to die, let them die, because you could have once they all die, they're unconscious. Now let's say that someone comes in and frees them. Like you basically just set up the story of going. You all wake up in the middle of a room on a table where you're chained to. You've now been captured and you're going to be tortured. You guys got to get out. And that's the way a lot of people, you can do a lot of stuff for these players without having to kill them all the time. Now, if you're like, they're at level like 20, like level 15 or 16 and they're fighting like 5 dragons, they're dead. You are done. Like if you died, you fall in that, no one saves you, you are done. Your players are the top tier of their world, and there ain't no one going to save them from themselves. Like they would be more of like, are you going to kill your teams? Is the big bag going to keep you as pets? You don't know. But I think a lot of the things go from when people play D&D, and a lot of things go on is when your players walk away from the end of the day, you want them going, oh man, that was awesome. I don't understand what happened there. But again, you don't want to baby them, because a lot of times they see they're being babied, they'll not want to play. They'll be like, well, this sucks. Like, why didn't you I should have died. I want to roll a different character. A lot of times they'll do that. They'll want to die just to roll a new character because they're like, I did not think that would have played the way I wanted to play. I want to try something new. Which, again, that's all you got to do.
Once you're more experienced, it's better to almost to let them live and die on the dice. But in the beginning, when you're new, it's hard to often make sure you've attained balance. That's why I don't encourage people to homebrew a whole lot when they first start out, because there's always balance issues, and that's really tough to adjudicate. The game's designed with balance in mind, and if you throw it out of whack early on, it's hard to recover sometimes.
Yeah, see, I did that. I went ahead my first 5th edition game. I'm like, you know what? I do not want to run the standard game, because I was like, well, I want to make it a complete random game. I generated a world, a town, everything. I had literally a stack of paper about this big of different tavern names, different like actual packs. Like if you go to there's a site, I'll link it below, that they do basically you can random generate a lot of stuff for 3.5. 5th edition, 4th edition, and it goes into
Oh, I lost my audio here. Sorry, I lost my audio, man. Oh, gotcha.
All right, there you go. Can you hear me?
Hey, I got you now.
Okay, yeah. No, it muted me for some odd reason. I bumped this little cord here, which I need to go. I'll probably end up going and buying a new one, because I cannot bump that again, because I really don't want that to happen again. But yeah, no, I think it's a lot of things people don't understand. Like when you get into DMing, you get a module to start out, always the best thing.
If you're brand new, yeah, I would suggest that, because they're balanced by people who write this stuff. And if you want to play with it a little bit, do it, but try not to change it too much until you're a little better at it.
Yeah. So when having your material, like, do you use little like figures and stuff in your game, or you just like paper, pen, and just talk and imagination kind of thing, or you?
Over the years, I've used just about everything. We've done everything from miniatures to battle mats to whiteboards to drawing it on a big roll of brown paper stock that you're done with that one, roll it off the table and draw another one. It's I've done everything. My preference is not miniatures right now, but my players like it sometimes. If they want it, then I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, I see. The pricing on miniatures right now is up there, so it's kind of hard to. I think I spent like 40 bucks, 45 bucks for 3 packs of miniatures with the 4 in each one, and I was like, all right, this should work. And I was like, well, you don't know what you're getting on the on Wizard of the Coast little pack thing. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll get them because I want some just random things. And then I ended up going to Kroger one day and found Minecraft those little Minecraft things for 25 cents a piece.
Holy cow!
I bought a crap ton of them. So I use those as my characters because like, okay, well, these are the enemies because I can mark it down. I put numbers on their head and I could write out all sorts of stuff on the side stat bar. So I can be like, oh, he's this, and that's that. So a lot of death by bunny was going to happen because I had a lot of red-eyed bunnies that were just flopping around. But no, I'm really looking forward to like doing a Roll20 and doing the fantasy ground, but doing it with the maps of the DungeonFog, which I'm going to put a link below for this. So if anyone wants to check them out, they're really cool. I mean, they're the way that they have the mechanics, like with Roll20 and stuff to make your like little counts and stuff, it got really out of control. And like I've spent like 20 minutes trying to do it. And I'm like, you know what? Nope. They literally have everything down to like paste, copy, draw lines, grid, done. I was like, I like that. I can work with that. I can work with that a lot. But so thank you for coming on. It was good to have you, Jason.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Hey, no problem. And I'm hoping you'll join me for the next time we do the roundtable, because I want to get since you're big on 3.5 and 3 and all that fun stuff. I want to actually have a discussion about the people who play 3.5 and then people who play 5th edition, and just like kind of like why do you think it's better kind of thing? Like what makes you want to use that edition more than the other? Which a lot of people, I'm trying to get the broad angle of everybody, but this episode's running a little longer than I thought it would have. But hey, you start talking about D&D and shit just goes over.
That's the way it goes. It's true.
Which is awesome. So thank you again for coming out. Hope you all enjoyed. Do hopefully come back for the next episode, and we'll have Jason on again for a roundtable, which we might be streaming or it might just be uploaded. But more than likely, I would like to get a good stream going of it, but just trying to get everyone time schedules the same and all that fun stuff will be where we'll have the issue. So it might just be a straight up just when everyone can do it, we'll do it and stream it, and I'll leave it up for everyone to see and all that fun stuff. So if you enjoy this, please leave a like, go ahead and comment. Remember, what's always flowing, but never, what was it?
Always flowing, never stops, never ending. Take your pick.
Okay, so the riddle was, what's always flowing, but never stops. I mean, I'm drawing a blank, which I'll probably ask you a couple seconds after this I end the recording, just so I have the answer. But we will see you all next time on Meet Your Masters of D&D, and I will see you all next time. You guys have a good day.